this is something I do every time I apply for a job. I make my cover letter and my CV the same document, rather than separating them out. The reason why I do that is that recruiting systems are still very clunky, and especially if you're applying to a small company where you're literally emailing it in, the chances of them losing the second document, because it's just like they just want the CV.
Yeah.
So I always make sure my cover letters are so personalized. There's absolutely no way this cover letter could be used for any other job, other than that job at that company, at that time. So even and I write them to the point where I'm so proud of them. I want every single person who interviews me, I want them to read that first and then to look at my CV. And so the whole point of a cover letter is to do just that. Like, your CV could just be the same every single time you apply. It is just quite a factual explanation of you and your experience and your achievements. But your cover letter is like, why are these skills, experience, and achievements really amazing for that particular job at that company? Also, little things to prove that you're not using AI, like hyperlink stuff in your cover letter. Be like, hey, I love that. I remember seeing the trailer for this video, hyperlink.
Nice.
um, or like, hey, you should take a look at this, hyperlink that. That's just like, that's such a minor thing. But if you're trying to make it look like it's not AI, my thoughts on AI though, like, there are some wild opinions on LinkedIn about this.
Hmm.
Oh, this resume or CV was clearly written by AI. It's like, who cares? Like, I'd rather have a well-written, grammatically correct CV that may have been used by AI, than not. But yeah, you are right in that you run the risk of it seeming generic. When everyone has access to the same tools, it can feel generically written. But I think generically written is better than poorly written. So that's why I think I don't have much gripe with AI when it comes to writing job ads or anything like that. But it does just take you to the base level if you want to really stand out, like you were suggesting. Making it really personalized and specific to the job is great. Um, some quick advice on cover letters: 250 words, like half a page roughly. Don't make it an essay. Make it really punchy. And also, when it comes to CVs, this is a bit of advice I always give to people about CVs. Like, I would say I've read, well, definitely tens of thousands, about to say 100,000. I'm sure if I could break it down, 13 years of reading CVs. It's a long time. And my habit, and this is a habit of many, many recruiters, that we read it bottom up, because it tends to be people put their education and earlier experiences at the bottom. So if you want to kind of read their life story, you tend to scroll down and then you go up that way. Most recent experience at the top. How do I read it? And I put my hobbies, interests, and achievements at the bottom, as well. And so my hobbies, interests, achievements section is like a whole third of a page, takes up a lot. But I say to people, that section is like, all the rest is quite factual, and then that is where I inject my personality. It's the only part of a CV where you say what you like to do in your spare time, what you're passionate about. So I talk about like the eating competitions I've done, and all of the endurance events I've done, and the sports I played growing up, and the specific video games I like to play, and my favorite books, and where I've traveled, and all this sort of stuff comes up in interviews all the time. I remember actually when I was interviewing at EA, a now really good friend of mine who was interviewing me at the time, first question was, tell me about this hot dog eating competition that you did. First question. First question in the interview at EA. I was like, I would love to tell you about the hot dog eating competition that I did. And that was just, it was a great icebreaker, proved he read my CV. And that was just so funny. But yeah, it's the hobbies, interests, achievements section is great icebreaker fuel for your interviewers as well. So the amount of times people just put 3 bullet points. It's like, my hobbies and interests: gaming, running, traveling. It's like, I would love to hear about your
Be
game.
specific, right?
Yeah. I'd love to hear more about that. Yeah. But yeah, and I keep saying last bit of advice. Here is my last advice. I'll let you talk now. But if you are a junior or entry level, then you should have 1-page CV. And if you are mid-level or above, it should be 2 pages. And funny enough, it goes kind of full circle. The amount of times I've interviewed executives, like 20 plus years of experience, and they come back to having a 1-page CV. It's quite interesting. But yeah, never go longer than that.
I really love the point where you're saying, and I felt this personally when I was applying, because I thought my hobbies and my interests, that's something I shouldn't put in because I just need to talk about what I do in the role and no one will ask for that. But if you're really specific and you don't write like, I don't know, valedictorian in high school, or wrote some generic things that happened really long ago. But if you pick things that specifically make you unique and who you are, like even if you've played a game, mention if you love Mario Kart, mention that you won a tournament in Mario Kart, like, and that's something that you do and you play all the time. Because that helps break the ice. At the end of the day, when you're working at a job, you're working with people, and you want someone to get a good gist of who you are, and that you could be someone that they could hang out with. You end up spending more time with your colleagues than often with your family in a very sad way, and not in a sad way, but that's just the reality of the
Yeah.
working world. And so people want to hire also based on not trying to pick away from, oh, you're not unique enough, or you're not special enough, but they want to know that there's something about you. Every single person is unique and special, and that should come out in your CV in some way. Um, I do want to ask, when I was breaking into the tech industry, and I guess in games as well, I used to do all these extracurriculars like hackathons. I would write articles on Medium. I would. I didn't really have a portfolio because I wasn't necessarily an artist, so I didn't know what I'd populate in that portfolio. But every time I apply for roles, or I would apply for roles, there's always that little box at the bottom which says, "Would you like to put any additional links or references?" What are your thoughts on that? Like, for anyone that's trying to hire, that always gets a little bit anxious because they're like, maybe I have a great CV and I have a great cover letter, but I don't have a personal website, or I haven't done my portfolio. Like, how important is that? And how do you know if you need it or not?
Oh, well, just to answer that specifically, I think that just comes as like a default in most recruiting systems. So it's kind of like just a catch-all. But to go back to like first part of what you're talking about, like all of this extracurricular stuff is so needed, and people in the games industry that are hiring want to see it. Um, for sure. Like in fact, earlier this week, I was chatting to someone. They work at very large B2B SaaS company. And they were like, I'm so passionate about games. I'm like, cool. Tell me.
Tell me
tell
more.
me. Tell me what that means. And they talked about all the games that they love to play. And I was like, okay, aside from playing video games, what else did you? And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, what, got anything else, or do you just play video games? He's like, yeah, I play video games. I was like, okay, have you tried to learn how to make games? Do you go to gaming events? Have you like joined any have you been to like any joined any online communities? Is there anything like, do you create anything to do with games to like prove to me that you have taken it from I love to play games to I'm intellectually curious about games? And like, because we use the word passionate, that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
Passionate to me just means it's a combination of energy and intellectual curiosity just mashed together. Like you have a lot of energy being put into being curious about something. And it was basically, the answer was basically no. And I was like, okay, well, let me school you very nicely, of course, on this, because when you apply, and there'll be 999 other people applying, and they say, I love playing video games. Be like, great. You know what? There's like billions of people on the planet who play video games. I think half the planet play video games. I was like, you and other 3 billion people. It's like, so what is it? What are you doing to prove that it's actually a next step up from that? And so this is how you can identify people from outside of games that you think would be a fantastic fit for roles within games as well. So like, for example, for me, like I'm a recruiter, like on the business side portfolio, but I had my own personal website, and I would write about video games. I'd also post videos about that. I could also tell them about the LAN parties and the tournaments I organized at my company. Also the meetups that I went to, and like going to Comic Con, and all of like, it was just like games were just much more like than just, oh, I play with my friends sometimes. So yeah, if you bring all of these examples, also last point on this, especially for interns and juniors, and well, to be honest, anyone cracking into the industry, if you can't get internships or work experience, you can make your own experience, as in game jams. I would say game jams are so fantastic, especially if you ship something at the end. It's like you've shipped something. You know how to collaborate and take something from concept to release. Um, that's amazing. And sometimes you can rack up enough experience from game jams and just your own side projects than a really bad or poor internship could ever teach you. Um, Sometimes internships are purely they're just shadowing the entire time. They're not actually doing anything. So if you're actually out there building stuff, doing stuff, have a portfolio to show, then you should definitely do that.